Hello, and welcome to another installment of The Secret to My Success. And today I am joined by Brittney Woodrum, who's just finished the 14ers project. And Brittney, I would love for you to tell those that don't know who are listening a little bit about yourself and how you came to know Shelterbox.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sheree. My name is Brittney Woodrum. I'm originally from Kentucky, and I don't know, I just grew up in a house that always prioritized service and kind of helping the community in whatever way that I could. And so I've always had a desire in terms of just my professional career to also have that play some type of important role. So for example, in my undergraduate, I studied nonprofit administration because I'm very mission-based. Many nonprofits are also very community-oriented. And after graduating, I had the good fortune to work for a variety of NGOs around the world, focused on everything from women's empowerment to education. And through that work, I actually got to know a few different aid workers working for a variety of organizations. And to me, that seemed like the ultimate goal, like getting to help people who had lost everything, who were having either the worst day or year of their entire life, right, or 10 years. Every disaster is different, and being able to play a part in with those communities and those individuals, I don't know, somewhere along the line that seed was planted, and now that's kind of my ultimate goal, to work for some type of humanitarian aid organization. So about 1 year ago, so September of 2019, I moved back to the US with the intention of beginning my master's and doing my master's in humanitarian aid. And I was looking for a way to get involved both in my new community of Denver as well as the greater community of humanitarian aid. And I was doing some research and I found Shelterbox. And I'd actually never heard of Shelterbox before. I'd never run into a Shelterbox ambassador. But I liked what I read, and I reached out to you, actually, Sheree, and I think you got back to me that day, and just with pure enthusiasm. And I think I met like a couple of the other ambassadors the following weekend. So the turnaround was very quick. You guys got me really quick. And from there on, I've been an ambassador now for over a year. So that's kind of how I learned about Shelterbox. And then just in my studies and stuff, it was really interesting being an ambassador for Shelterbox and hearing what you guys were doing on the ground, and specifically about some of your deployments and some of those anecdotes, and being able to kind of compare and contrast the scenarios and things that we were studying in school. So that was just super cool, kind of being involved a little bit in a specific organization, and then also getting to study it in the theoretical sense, I guess.
Yeah, because when we first connected, you were looking for more of that internship experience, that learning opportunity. Was the 14ers project even on your mind at the time that you originally reached out?
Well, definitely not, because I didn't even think about doing my own solo physical challenge until I had heard about some of the other ambassadors. And I think a lot of that was kind of seeded probably in Las Vegas last February, whenever I got to meet some of those other ambassadors and hear about some of the like legendary stories that some of the ambassadors have taken on, some of those physical challenges. But I was very excited whenever I heard about that, because I do have a history of taking on physical challenges to support missions that I care about and causes that I care about. And so whenever I heard that that was kind of already in the Shelterbox culture, it wasn't so much a question of if I would do a physical challenge, but when and what would it be. And I think it was really there that the wheels started turning. And I think even by the end of our weekend in Las Vegas, I had mentioned it to somebody. I was like, do you think I could climb the 14ers with the box on my back? And, just kind of as a whim or just as an idea. But it was definitely nothing concrete or serious at that time.
Yeah, and for context, so Vegas happened Valentine's weekend, and your first hike was July 10th.
Yeah.
So it came, all things considered, it came together very quickly. I think you and I really started talking about, marketing and networking it and the sponsorship, would you say like Mayish?
Yeah, I was gonna say late April, and
Okay.
then I feel like, I had like done some silly little graphics and things. I was just playing with the idea and was like, maybe I'll send it to Cherie and see what she says. And yeah, that was like late April. All of May was getting kind of those the graphics and like the organizational logistics together, I think, and getting the whole team on board and figuring out a game plan. And then, June was much of like a continuation of that, but also doing like the physical logistics of training, getting myself in shape and prepared, but also doing a lot of like, food prep and making sure that I had everything I needed and just finalizing that plan. So, yeah, very quick turnaround.
So when we think about planning, you touched on a little bit. So it was like get the idea and the inspiration. Then it was like commitment. Okay, I'm really doing this.
Right.
Get my idea like laid out. Like what is the sponsorship gonna look like? Getting the graphics and the marketing, getting my team would be the other piece of it, and then logistics prepping.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So when you committed, what did you know that you were going to be? What resources did you need to help make this a success?
Well, I knew that the thing I was going to be weakest at was like Rotary outreach, I think, because I'm actually not a Rotarian. I think I'm one of the few ambassadors who's actually not a Rotarian. I feel like a lot of the ambassadors.
Not in name per se, but
right.
in spirit.
You're right. Hopefully very soon, fingers crossed. But and so I was definitely looking to my fellow ambassadors who already had those contacts. Another issue was I was a complete stranger to Colorado. So taking on this project was very nerve-wracking, not only because I had a huge amount of imposter syndrome going out and climbing these mountains. Like, who am I? Some like girl from the east who's climbed in Appalachia. Like, these mountains are not on par with what you see out east, right? And so I was definitely nervous about that coming out to Colorado and them just laughing at me, thinking I was some like silly, young, naive hiker, right? But in addition to that, because I was new, I just didn't have the contacts and I didn't know where to begin. So definitely tapping into my team here in Colorado, and actually, I got to know so many new people. I knew the Denver people very well, but one of the cool parts about this project was I got to know a lot of the other ambassadors in different corners of the state too. So that was just awesome.
Yeah, you really created a little Colorado family.
Yeah.
With everyone that jumped on board, and easily what I loved about getting these Rotarian Colorado ambassadors involved is they each very well knew their own districts. They knew who to talk to and how to get you connected. And then it kind of spread like wildfire. Like once one club had you, the rest of the district wanted a piece of that, wanted you at their club too.
A little too soon, sure, either. You're dealing with wildfires all summer. I'm kidding. But no, it totally did. And that was one of the coolest things. It kind of had like a slow start. Like I did have a couple of Rotary clubs donate before I even started hiking, and I was just blown away. I was like, how is this even possible, right? I didn't even present to you all. And then it just seemed like as one started to donate, they would challenge another, or another one would hear about it, or whatever, and to the point that we're at right now where it has snowballed into this, it's beyond Colorado now, right? Like it's a national.
I've seen donations come in from New York,
right,
Mexico, Arizona, and California.
It's just mind-boggling to me. Yeah.
I was talking to Eric Elsie and Holly Anderson. So you met them in Vegas. I think that was part of your first introduction to the adventure challenge, adventure fundraising type of thing. And something they said that reminded me of your story was Eric said, he's like, I didn't know if I was going to raise $1. He's like, I knew I was going to do this thing. I knew I wanted to commit to that. And I remember you telling me something similar as well. Like, you're like, maybe 5,000. I'll set my goal at 5,000. So
Well,
you didn't know.
yeah, here I think a few things were happening. One, climbing the 14ers definitely started as a personal goal. Whenever I heard about this challenge, I was like, I want to do that sometime in my life. However, climbing all 58 of Colorado's 14ers is quite an ambitious goal. Like most people do it throughout an entire lifetime.
I was gonna say, and what was yours, like 90, 100 something days?
Days, 78 days.
Oh,
Don't but what was I gonna say there? And so this was a personal goal for me, but I knew going in that this was gonna be hard. Like if I don't have a greater reason to be out there every single day, it's going to be hard to stay committed to a goal like that. And so I just thought, carrying that box on my back, that would be the perfect idea. And this was like back in February, right? So when I was just thinking of some type of physical challenge that could work with Shelterbox's mission and with the other physical challenges that I had heard about. And so I was like, that would work. And then COVID-19 happened, and all of a sudden we were all stuck at home, and all of my summer plans were getting canceled left and right. And I was thinking, what is going on? Like, what can I possibly do that will be positive and beneficial this summer? And I think just as like a very community-oriented person, and I'm sure everyone can really relate with this, like all Rotarians, everyone working for Shelterbox, people who are very mission-driven, it was very hard to be told, like, the best way that you can help your community is to stay put and to stay at home. And while that makes 100%, it makes full, like, whole sense, at the same time, as a humanitarian, I was looking at these disasters still happening around the world, things that people were not talking about, right? Some of the most vulnerable populations, new communities becoming, some of these populations overnight, and no one was talking about them. They were showing up as blips on our radars, if they were showing up on our news media at all, right? And so I was like, there's got to be something that I can do on just a personal, individual level that would make a big positive impact while making a minimal negative impact. And as a hiker, thinking about climbing mountains, I was like, this could like be perfect, because many of these mountains are just day hikes. I can be pretty much self-supported out there, and so many people are stuck at home. Like, what they want is something inspiring. They want someone to take something to a new height and to give them incredible and beautiful views while they're sitting at home. And they want to like have a connection with something, just maybe in their backyard that makes them feel like they're making an impact internationally. And I don't know, it just seemed like everything started to fall into place. And so I don't know necessarily kind of where the idea came from, but it did seem like it was perfect and just kismet for this year and for that moment.
Yeah, and people, you're right, you were very intuitive as to what people would be driven by and drawn to or motivated by to donate. Your story, your motivation, the way you presented it, that's what made this such a success, or definitely a factor of it. What do you attribute to your success?
Well, definitely the team. Like, for every mountain I climbed, there was like 100 people supporting me, whether that be physically or virtually, and not just the team in Colorado. Like, I felt like all of Shelterbox was coming to kind of support me in some way or other by sharing my posts and telling my story. I think that was one of the things that was so also nerve-wracking in the beginning. I was just like, how are people going to find out about this? And like gaining that traction in such a short time. And basically what was a foreign land for me, or like foreign territory. So yeah, I really attribute everyone who came out, who shared my project, especially to the Shelterbox team, that, our little unit that was meeting every single week to kind of look at the numbers, look at our game plan, delegate tasks, and just sticking with the project I kind of felt bad for the ambassadors in Colorado. This was just dumped on them, but they took it so well, and everyone was so enthusiastic every single day. And man, I just couldn't imagine a better team to have worked with.
Well, that's great. And I'm glad you brought up the Facebook page to follow you, because I think that's a theme amongst those that I've interviewed, is that they've created a page that's dedicated to their event. And another theme I've picked up on is the success comes from doing something that's either already happening and Shelterbox is inserted as a fundraiser, or it is a passion of that person where we've added a fundraising component, and building that team at Shelterbox to help bring the fundraising piece to life. When you, the person, the fundraiser, is just doing something you already love to do, or you knew you were going to do at some point.
For sure. Another thing that I think made this project a success too, from just like a logistical level, was having a goal that was like easily divisible. So the number, our goal was about $82,000, and that basically came from raising $1,400 per mountain. And at first we were getting all kinds of individual donations, but by the end it seemed like everyone wanted to sponsor a mountain through a $1,400 donation, because that would get them, special claims to this mountain. And there was something very like prized in that, I think. Like being able to give your donor something, or being able to have some type of ranking system. I don't know if that's really the right term, but if you donate this much, here's what you get. If you donate this much, here's what you get. And kind of being able to prioritize those higher donations. And one of the cool things too, I think, was that many Rotary clubs already had it in their budget to donate, $1,000 to Shelterbox throughout the year. It might not have been throughout the summer, maybe they would have done it later, but many of them were already planning to donate $1,000, I think. So asking them to donate just a little bit more, like that extra 400, really added up. And I think, just the combination of challenging them to just donate a little bit more, and then also creating it as kind of a competition, or including some type of special recognition, and it just being so divisible. And what they got essentially was they claimed a peak, right? And so getting to take something to that peak and having those 360 views and having that picture there and that shout out, I think was really, really special and incredible for so many people, especially people who often who might not have ever made it to the top of that mountain, or who are even stuck at home right now. So I think that was it struck people on a multitude of levels.
I agree, and something that was unique to this project was that ownership of the peak, that these clubs, it was like in their backyard, right?
Yeah.
Or it was in their city. So they almost like felt that obligation to stake the claim on that peak in that sponsorship. And then also your follow through, because you're saying, we got to take the banner or take something up the mountain, and you followed through on that promise. And the Shelterbox team helped to make sure that they were represented properly on the website. So there was that team effort there, but follow through does everything in the world when it comes to encouraging folks to give. But it is a takeaway, I think, when it comes to the territory piece, that other ambassadors can use when they're thinking of events or fundraisers, is how does this potential donor or sponsor relate to what I'm doing? Where is their in? And likely, maybe it's not a mountain, but there's probably something that they relate to that could be a draw to encourage them and motivate them to fundraise or donate.
And that's the thing too, yeah. So many people, like you said, had real emotional ties and connections with some of these peaks, and that also worked hugely in our favor. I had so many Rotarians wanting to come up and tell me their story of climbing the peak that they sponsored, and that was just it was so cool to be able to pass on kind of that story.
That. Yeah. You had your Shelterbox ambassador family, but now you kind of have this like 14ers family too.
Yeah, and like the greater Rotary community across
Yeah.
Colorado. And then also just that was the thing too. Although we didn't see, as many, I guess, um, individual, I mean, we did see quite a few individuals actually sponsor a peak in the end. Definitely, I think most of my fundraising base came from Rotarians, but I had so many people who were not Rotarians or who didn't know anything about Shelterbox just read about it either in a publication or meet me on the mountain and hear about what I was doing. And they were just so impassioned by the project that they wanted to do something too and like come out and join me and or host me whenever I came through their town, whatever it was. And so now I just feel like I have this so many different communities and families across Colorado. It's so special, especially since I already told you I was coming in feeling like this stranger, like I don't know
You're not
Colorado.
a stranger anymore.
I feel like I have kind of
You're like a Colorado household name, a Colorado celebrity at this point.
yeah. We'll see.
And I know that you are so modest and so humble, and you're not about that part of the recognition piece, but the media that you've been able to secure these impressions and the different ways that now people are learning about Shelterbox because of your media spots. We've had new people come to the organization, new donors, like you said, people wanting to support you in different ways, new volunteer interests because of that. So you just never know exactly how far your ripple is going.
So there's been new volunteers or like new.
Somebody saw a tweet and heard about what you were doing and trained to be an ambassador.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so
And
cool.
I don't even think they were from Colorado. Let me see. I'm going to look them up. They were from, oh, they were Collingswood, Colorado.
Wasn't there?
But you were somewhere in a
well, maybe I will be.
You were in the Twitterverse. I don't know
right.
what it's called.
Very cool. That's amazing.
It is really amazing. And it's interesting when she was talking to me, she was saying, she's like, if I could just do, a fraction of that, just be a part of helping people outside,
Wow.
of my little bubble.
Yeah.
So, you're inspiring people.
Another cool thing, another stranger messaged me on Facebook the other day and they were like, I am just blown away by what you did. You're just one person. Like, how can I build out a fundraiser like that? Like, I'm really passionate about running. How can I find an organization that I can partner with? And I'm like, well, I think it's all about just blending your passions, right?
Yeah.
Like, first start with what is it that you love doing, right? For me, I love hiking. I love climbing mountains. And then also find out what your favorite mission is, or what you really care about. Maybe it's like cancer research or animal shelters or humanitarian assistance. It's like there's 1,000 organizations out there that you can partner with. And you can creatively find a fundraiser. And like you said, like if you're already passionate about doing those things, if you already enjoy doing those things, that passion is just going to bleed into your fundraiser too, and into the entire energy around the project. And people will not be able to help themselves, but get on board and like support your project too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brittney, I'm so glad that we were able to meet today. Do you have any final thoughts for those listeners?
Gosh, I don't know. Everyone should do some type of amazing fundraiser. Shelterbox, you guys really though, like you all supported me so much. And so this was so much like safety netting around doing a project like this. And it was just so incredible. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And because of this, I know this will not be my last physical challenge with a shelter box on my back. So I can't wait to see what other heights I'm able to take that box to. But thank you again for supporting me and for the opportunity. It was just the best summer of my life by far.
Oh, well, thank you. And you're very welcome. And funny enough, Eric may have said something similar, like, this isn't the last of me, or stay tuned for an announcement. So I think that's another theme throughout this, is that those that love what they do and they fundraise for a mission they're passionate about, it's not necessarily a one and done thing. They're like, oh my gosh, it came so easily once I got started just because I'm just combining the things that I love.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's as hard as people think it is. It can be intimidating at times and you can have periods of discouragement, but with the right support around you, with the resources you need, which our team always here to help figure out what those resources are, we help get you through it.
Yeah, I was about to say you're definitely not alone. Like, and I was definitely not alone out there. And I can't thank you guys and everyone who helped me enough for all the support I received.
You're so welcome, Brittney. Well, thank you again for the time. It is truly an honor to serve this mission alongside you. And when the video is ready, it'll be up on the portal under the Ambassador University and will be shared in our Falling in Love with Fundraising series.
Okay,
so thank you.
Sheree. Have
Welcome.
a good.
You too.
Bye-bye.